If you've scrolled on the internet or social media lately, you've probably seen the words alternative housing and affordable housing. You may have even heard the words ADU, tiny house, and tiny home. And maybe you're wondering, are people just using different words for the same thing? Well, spoiler alert, they're different but have similarities too. A tiny house, by definition, is a structure that's under 400 square feet. A tiny house might be on a permanent foundation, or it could be on wheels. A tiny house on wheels is going to be treated as a movable, like a vehicle. Tiny homes is a concept, and it's an umbrella for a lot of different things. Tiny home could be an RV, an actual tiny house. Some people would use a yurt for a tiny home. Others have converted a van or maybe even a school bus into a tiny home. Some are using the shipping containers for living spaces as well. I've also seen tree houses, 3D printed houses, and even people converting sheds into tiny homes. The thing that I love about tiny homes is it's so eclectic. Tiny homes in general may not meet that 400 square feet standard. They are going to be smaller though. It's more about the concept of tiny home versus the measurements or just square footage. Tiny homes can really cater to a lot of different lifestyles, and they usually offer a lot of flexibility. I've seen so many designs that are just kooky and eclectic and just maybe a little weird and fun at the same time. Now let's talk about ADUs. What is an ADU? An ADU is a secondary dwelling unit on a piece of land that has a primary residence. An ADU might be a garage conversion. Some people add on to their property to create the ADU, and then others may just put an ADU in the backyard. Those that are adding an ADU to their property typically want it for rental income or even to offset their mortgage. Some need to house their elderly parents instead of putting them in a place like a nursing home or a medical facility. Others may just want to house a loved one or a college-age student. The thing about ADUs, they're permanent. They're not going anywhere. So we know what a tiny house, a tiny home, and an ADU are, but what are the differences? If we're just putting a tiny house against an ADU, when is a tiny house an ADU and when is an ADU a tiny house? A tiny house is an ADU if it is on a property, it's a secondary dwelling unit. It's got to meet all the ADU building codes and the ordinances. An ADU is a tiny house whenever it's under 400 square feet. So you can see there is overlap. The differences is where you really get to understand. An ADU is not going anywhere. It is permanent. A tiny house might be on a foundation, might be on wheels. As far as how people are using an ADU versus a tiny house, an ADU is typically going to be for the income, for extra living space, or to house a loved one. A tiny house, on the other hand, people downsizing, people want to live more affordably, if they want to live more intentionally and simplistically, and then those who also want to adopt some of the minimalism principles. So there you have it. You know the difference between a tiny house, a tiny home, and an ADU. I'd love to hear, did you actually know the difference before you watched this video? Let me know in the comments. If you found this video helpful, like, subscribe, shoot me some comments and questions. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.